today we are going to read from 2 Kings 5. So if you have your Bibles with you or your phone with you with a Bible app, please go to 2 Kings 5. This is the story of Naaman. And I feel like everything that I want to say kind of has been said this morning already. So I'm just going to build on that. Okay. 2 Kings 5. Sorry, I don't have a PowerPoint because ain't nobody got time for that. 2 Kings 5 verse 1. Now Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, or Syria, was considered a great man by his king and was highly respected because through Naaman the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was also a man of courage, but he was a leper. We're going to stop there. It's a very interesting case to me. Naaman was a great man and a valiant soldier. He was highly regarded in the Syrian army. But the Syrians were the enemies of Israel. And God used the enemy to give victory. He gave victory to the enemy through Naaman. And this is just a reminder to me that God always has a finger in this pie of life. His influence is just so vast that even in the Israelites' enemy camp, God was working. Never underestimate God's influence in our lives. Naaman was an important man, but he had leprosy. And throughout the entire Bible, every case that we see of someone having leprosy is only curable by God. There was no cure by man. There was no sulfie that you can smear on this skin disease. And it was a horrible disease. That was like a death sentence. If you got a spot of leprosy, that was it. Like you were exiled. People were terrified of this disease. So the only God could cure it. You could only be healed if God intervened. Okay, verse 2. The Arameans, the Syrians, had gone out in bands as raiders and had taken captive a little girl from the land of Israel, and she waited on Naaman's wife as a servant. So, once again, Israel's enemies raided Israel, and they captured this little girl. Now, I can just imagine the circumstances that this nameless child, was taken from. She was taken from her family, her parents, her safety, everything she knew. And it doesn't say like she wasn't a woman. She was a little child, a little girl, was taken into Naaman's household, and she was serving his wife. Verse 3. She said to her mistress, she heard that Naaman had leprosy, and she said to her mistress, I wish that my master Naaman were with the prophet who is in Samaria. Then he would heal him of leprosy. If only my master could go to this prophet, the enemy, if only this guy who took me from my home, if only he could go to the prophet, he would be healed. And I'm like, what? This verse speaks so much of this unnamed child's resilient faith and steadfast character. You know what happens when we hear that our enemy or someone who's hurt us or done us harm, when something is troubling them, they go through a bad time, we go, kry vir jou, with a lot of r's. Kry vir jou, jy wou mos. That's what we do. That's what we do. And this child, she earnestly says, if only my master could go see the prophet. She could have become bitter. She could have hardened her heart towards these people who had taken her. She could have hardened her heart to God. But this little child had such faith. She knew that her God could heal her master's disease. And she must have been raised with the knowledge of God. She must have learned about Elisha, learned where this prophet is because she knew. And this child wanted to see her enemy healed. She was set free from unforgiveness. Oh, she wished her enemies well. So what do we do when we hear our enemies are going through a difficult time? We don't say, cry for you, cry for jou. We pray for them. We are kind to them. We even help them. Because isn't that what Jesus did for us? We were the enemy. That's what he did for us. Okay. The song. Sorry, I've made a note here. The first song that says, I can't be quiet. My God is alive. How can I keep it inside? She couldn't keep it inside. She was like, please, my master has to go see. He has to go experience God. He has to go see the prophet. Amazing. Anyway, okay, verse 4. We'll read from verse 4 to 7. Okay, Naaman went in and told his master the king, the girl who is from the land of Israel said such and such. Then the king of Syria said, go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel, Jehoram, the son of Ahab. So he left and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 shekels of gold and 10 changes of clothing. Now that must have been quite a load. Verse 6 says, and he brought the letter to the king of Israel. It said, and now when this letter comes to you, this is from the king of Syria, I will have sent my servant Naaman to you so that you may heal him of his leprosy. Now, of course, Naaman gets the approval of King Aram. He wants his top guy to be healed because, he's useful to him. He's winning all these fights. So he was like, oh, whatever. Take all the treasure. Go buy yourself some healing from this Israeli guy. Just go. It's fine. If he can heal you, great. So he takes all this money, all these clothing and stuff, and he goes. And then verse 7 says, when the king of Israel, the king of God's chosen people, when the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes in shock and outrage at the request and said, am I God to kill and make alive? That this man sends to me a request to heal a man of his leprosy? Just consider what he is asking and see how he is seeking an opportunity for a battle with me. Or quarrel, and says in another version, a quarrel with me. The king panics. The king of Israel, God's chosen people, he panics. And isn't that what anxiety does to us? Immediate panic. This dude had seen God working. He was literally, like a few chapters ago, he saw Elisha, there was miracles. This guy, witnessed it. And the first thing he does is, oh my goodness, this guy wants to fight. He doesn't run to God. He doesn't but we have a prophet. I know Elijah. He doesn't do that. He's just like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? Now I understand. Sorry, this is a tangent. His parents weren't the greatest. His parents were King Ahab and freaking Jezebel. So, I understand. And in 2 Kings 3, it says, Jehoram did evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as his father and mother had done. But that is saying he was an upgrade from Hitler. Anyway, the king of Israel, he kind of knew God. I mean, there was a history with these people. I mean, God had invested in these people. So he kind of knew God and did away with some of the idol worship, but not really. He wasn't really invested. He just kind of did his own thing. So he panics. Okay, verse 8. Now when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, and he sent word to the king, asking, why have you torn your clothes? Why are you panicking? You have God. Just let Naaman come to me, and he shall know that there is a true prophet in Israel. Unlike you, king, Naaman will know that there's a true prophet in Israel. Verse 9. So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stopped at the entrance of Elisha's house. Now I assume this was quite the show. I mean, I don't know where Elisha lived, but having this Gentile come with like horses and carriages and servants, and it was quite a thing. Javier? Okay. Verse 10 to 12. Verse 9, sorry. So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stopped at the entrance of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him saying, "Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh will be restored to you, and you will be clean." But Naaman was furious and went away and said, "Indeed, I thought he would at least come out to see me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place of leprosy and heal the leper. Are not Abana and Parphor, the rivers of Damascus in Aram, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?" So he turned and went away in a rage. How many times do we do that? What? Het daai kar nou net voor my ingedraai? Did this person just cut in line in front of me? Oh, we are so quick to get on our high horses, ne? So Naaman arrives at Elisha's house in all pomp and glory, and everyone is watching this parade go by. And then Elisha doesn't come out. He doesn't come out and acknowledge Naaman. And Naaman's like, what? Like, this other servant is coming to speak to me now. But Elijah doesn't come out, not because he's lazy or he doesn't care about this Gentile. I think this man of God knew that Naaman didn't just need physical healing, but he also needed to humble himself before God. He also needed to humble himself before the God of Israel. In Micah 6 verse 8 it says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good." Naaman that says, "Oh, isn't this river and that river better than this muddy Jordan River?" God knows what's good. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That is what the Lord requires of us. And Elisha was such a good leader to me. I'm like, he's such a, what do you call someone to look up to? Role model. He's such a good role model to have. Elisha wasn't influenced by this Naaman and all his stuff, all his gold and silver and clothes and horses and chariots and servants. He wasn't influenced by that. He stayed with what God told him to do. God said, "Send your servant to tell Naaman to go wash in the Jordan River." And Elisha had to give Naaman exactly what God wanted him to give Naaman. So Elisha had to be obedient in what he gave this guy. Elisha sees Naaman's pride and sends his servant to deliver this simple message: go wash 7 times in the Jordan River. The muddy Jordan River. The Jordan River where God brings his people from the wilderness to the promised land. Where Joshua goes from assistant to leader. Where Elisha went from servant to prophet. Where John the Baptist baptizes Jesus, the muddy Jordan River, this humble little river. But this Gentile Naaman didn't know God yet. And he had certain expectations of how things were going to go down. The prophet is going to come out and receive him and wave his hand over the whatever. And when it didn't happen the way he thought it would, he felt humiliated And his pride got in the way, and he got angry. And isn't that an interesting reaction? And we all do it. When our pride gets hurt, we get angry and, we feel like it's injustice towards us. And what Elisha asked of Naaman to do, it wasn't hard. Go wash yourself 7 times in the river. It wasn't hard. He didn't ask for all the jewels and the gold and the silver, and he didn't have a mile-long to-do list of you have to go do all this penance and go serve these people and go climb this mountain. He didn't have to do any of that. Go wash in the Jordan 7 times. God asks for our obedience and our surrender. And isn't that what's hard for us as well? Come just as you are, come surrender. Come give over everything that you have held onto for yourself for so long. Come surrender it at the cross. Just surrender and obey. Okay, verse 13 to 14. Then his servants approached and said to him, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he has said to you, 'Wash and be clean'?" So he went down and plunged himself into the Jordan 7 times, just as the man of God had said. And his flesh was restored like that of a little child's, or another version says of a baby's, and he was clean. The servants. We started with the servant girl. The servants again. The nameless servants, they don't get recognition. They come to the rescue, and with tenderness they approach Naaman and persuade him to listen to Elisha and go wash in the Jordan. The servants once again redirect this entire story. The servants were good stewards of what God had given to them. The nameless little girl used what she had for God's glory in the midst of really tragic circumstances. She still had that something to give. And these servants urged their master to listen and obey what the prophet said. Maybe they even got saved as well. They were witnessing all this. It's possible that Naaman's servants could also have been saved. And then Naaman's disease was healed like that of a small child or babies. A new creation born again. Naaman had to sacrifice his pride to not only be healed physically, but to come and meet God. Your leprosy, your sickness, your sin, whatever. Come meet him. Come meet God. He had to humble himself before God and do things God's way. If he had gone to any other river, I don't know if God would have healed him. But he was obedient and he went in the Jordan and he dipped not 1 time, not 4 times, but he did it 7 times and God healed him. Whatever God says in whatever way he wants, walk humbly with your God. Okay, verse 15 to 19. Then Naaman returned to the man of God, and he and all the people in his group and stood before him. And he said, "Behold, I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. So now accept a blessing and a gift from your servant." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives before whom I stand, I will accept nothing." He urged him to take it, but Elisha refused. Naaman said, "If not, then please let your servant be given a load of earth for a team of mules. For from this day on, your servant will no longer burn burnt offerings, nor sacrifice to other gods, but only to the Lord, the God of Israel. In this matter, may the Lord pardon your servant when my master, the king of Syria, goes into the house of his god Rimmon to worship there, and he leans on my hand, and I bow in the house of Rimmon. May the Lord pardon your servant in this matter of attending the king when he worships." And Elisha said to him, "Go in peace." So Naaman departed and was a good distance away from him. It's interesting to me, Naaman and all his servants, his whole trek, go back. He could have just gone home. He was healed. He got what he wanted. But he goes back to the prophet and he declares, this is the only God. That's a change of heart. It's not just okay, I'm healed. Let me carry on with my life. His life was changed. He met God. And yeah, Naaman confesses that Yahweh is the only true God and his life is changed forever. But Elisha also accepts no payment. He didn't want this fresh believer to believe that grace is anything but given freely. He didn't have to pay for it. You cannot pay for grace. Grace pays for you. It's free. It's free. Naaman also requests to take some of Israel's dirt with him to Samaria so that he can build an altar there and worship the God of Israel. Naaman is thinking ahead. He's already thinking, how am I going to serve God when I get back home? How is my influence going to be when I get back home? He can't just go back and then everything's the same. He had to make like literal physical changes to the way he was living to honor God. And we have to do the same. And he also thought ahead, thinking one of his duties is to help the Syrian king worship whatever God that he worships. And I'm assuming that this king was elderly because he had to help him bow down. And Naaman was like, I don't want to do that anymore, but it's part of my duties. So will God forgive me for doing this? And sometimes we're very black and white with things. Okay? Sometimes we're like, no, you can't do that. It's, we're Christians, you can't go into this ungodly place. But Elisha saw Naaman's heart. He saw his heart was in the right place. And he said, go in peace. Go serve your king and take your testimony with you. We don't know. We don't know what Naaman, his new joy in the Lord could have done for the Syrian king. His heart was truly changed, and what a time to rejoice. Naaman could have affected generations to come. He was very influential. Let's get back to the servants. So there's another servant that I quickly want to talk about. A servant that could potentially have ruined everything. His name was Gehazi, and he was the servant to the prophet Elijah. He was constantly in the midst of a consistently righteous and thoughtful spiritual leader who truly loved God. Gehazi saw miracles just like King Joram had. He had the opportunity to follow in Elisha's footsteps. But just because we're here in church every Sunday, just because your husband or your wife forces you to come to church and forces you to pray, it doesn't mean that your life is right with God. It doesn't mean that you are living righteously before God. You can be in a position where you are surrounded by godly men and women. You can have all the sermons preached to you. You can have all the worship songs played at you. But if you don't decide to change your heart, if you don't decide, I'm going to humble myself, then nothing. Then you are letting the greatest joy and perfect peace just pass you by. It is your choice. You choose. Seek God for yourself. Let's continue reading from verse 20. Let's go in 19. Elisha said to Naaman, go in peace. So Naaman departed and was a good distance away from him. When Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, my master has spared this Naaman the Aramean, he wasn't happy. Gehazi wasn't happy that Naaman's soul was saved. He wasn't happy that he'd come to God. He was just, this Naaman. My master has spared this Naaman the Aramean by not accepting from him what he brought. As the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something from him. So Gehazi pursued Naaman I don't know. It says Naaman was a good distance away from them, and Gehazi ran after them. He pursued what Naaman had. He wanted that money. He wanted those clothing. He wanted what Naaman had. And when Naaman saw someone running after him, he got down from the chariot to meet him. Just another testimony that Naaman's heart was changed. He was a great man. He doesn't get off his chariot for just anybody. But he saw the servant running towards him, and he got down to meet him and said, "Is all well?" And Gehazi said, "All is well." He's lying through his teeth. "My master has sent me to say to you," Yalla. So easy. He just so easily lies. "Just now, 2 young men of the sons of the prophets have come to me from the hill country of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of clothes." I'm appalled at this guy's behavior. And it's that greed, that covetousness that comes out when it's like he could taste it. He could taste the riches that were just there. Why did this stupid Elijah not take all this gold and money? Do you know what he could have done with this? Maybe the Syrians had been raiding Israel, so they probably needed stuff. Like the prophets probably needed provision. Why would Elisha not do this? Gehazi knows better. And Naaman said, "Please take 2 talents. And he urged him to accept and tied up 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of clothes and gave them to 2 of his servants, and they carried them in front of Gehazi. So once again, we see Naaman is a truly changed man. He's like, don't just take 1 talent, take 2 talents. Here, I'll give you my servants to carry the stuff for you. So it must have been like quite a lot of stuff. It took 2 people to carry it. So here, freely give. When it came to the hill, Gehazi took them from their hand and put them in the house for safekeeping. And he sent the men away. Moenie laat Elisha sien nie. Moenie laat hy sien wat ek nou gedoen het nie. Kom ek sit die goedjies weg vir myself. Let me put all this treasure away in my house so nobody sees it for safekeeping. Then he went in and stood before his master as if nothing had happened. As if he didn't do anything. There was no fear of God in this man. He didn't know who God was. Elisha asked him, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" He said, "Your servant went nowhere." Nêrens? Wat het jy gedoen? Niks. Elisha said to him, Elisha, the prophet of God, the man of God, who Gehazi has served for a long time, I'm assuming. He lies to him, and then Elisha said to him, "Did my heart not go with you when the man turned from his chariot to meet you? Is it a proper time to accept money and clothing and olive orchards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and male and female servants? Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and your descendants forever." So Gehazi departed from his presence, a leper as white as snow. Gehazi did not steward what God had given him well. Gehazi had all the right people around him. Gehazi knew all the right things, but in his heart, he was greedy. In his heart, he wanted what Naaman had. And we are all in need of the same gospel. Gehazi was so eager to have what Naaman had. He was so eager to get the riches. And Elisha calls him out on it. He says it's a proper time to accept money and clothing. That is what he accepted. But Elisha knew Gehazi wanted olive orchards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and male and female servants, and he wanted an estate, and he wanted all the things, and he wanted. And so he tells him, "You are so eager to have all Naaman's riches. Why don't you take his curse as well? Why don't you take the leprosy as well?" Be careful what is going on in your heart. Be careful what you are seeking. We all need the same gospel. Whether we are part of the nameless servants, the little girl, the servant who goes out and speaks to Naaman, the servants who speak to Naaman and convince him to do the right thing. Me and you, rich and famous or unnamed servants, we all need the same gospel. And we need to be good stewards of this gospel that has by grace been given freely to us. It is your choice to take it or leave it. And it is your choice in boldness and in love to share it. Only God can heal a leper. Everyone knew that. Elisha sends Naaman away for God to heal. Because that's what happened. He said, go to the river and God will heal you. But Jesus comes and he touches the leper before he was even healed. Jesus comes and he's like, I am willing to heal you. And he touches the leper before he was even healed. So come as you are. God is not finished with you yet. He's not finished with you yet, whether you have served him for 40 years or whether you have just now given your life to him. He is not finished with you. Come as you are. Come with all your aches and pains and habits and tics and trauma and whatever you have. Come as you are. John 6 verse 35 to 37 says, Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But as I told you, you have seen me, and you still do not believe. Do not be that person. Do not be in the presence of God and surrounded by testimonies of his faithfulness and still be like, Choose him. All those the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me, I will never drive away. He will never reject you. With whatever you come to him, he will never reject you. God is not finished with us yet.